The brutal murder of 22-year-old college student Laken Riley at the hands of an illegal immigrant has rocked the nation, and a lot of people want to know if the president plans to talk about this at his State of the Union address tomorrow.
Yeah. Will President Biden publicly address Laken Riley's murder, allegedly at the hands of an illegal immigrant who was released by law enforcement multiple times on Thursday night?
This is such a tragic story and obviously situation. This is someone's life that was lost, so I do want to always acknowledge and extend our deepest condolences. I don't have anything to share about the president's speech as it relates to that particular question that you have.
Doug Collins is a former Georgia congressman and the host of the Doug Collins podcast and joins us now. Doug, good morning to you. What do you think? Do you think that the president will address Laken Riley's death at the State of the Union address tomorrow?
Well, he may, and I think that would be politically the thing that you would think he would do. But my question is I think it would come, way too late. He's not talked about it so far. It's not been something that's been a priority. In fact, he's actually ignored it while he was on the water. So at this point in time, I think, frankly, it's just going to come across as overtly political if he saves it to the State of the Union to make some kind of a statement about it, especially when you've not really done anything to affect the border, which is still wide open, and affect the changes that would need to be made to make sure that, cities and municipalities from the federal government perspective are pressured to make sure that those who are committing crimes in the United States are actually arrested and deported.
And if he does mention the border crisis, Doug, I think it's a safe estimate to say that he will say that this is the fault of Republicans who are blocking that bipartisan border deal because Donald Trump wants to run on this issue. Do you think anybody's buying that, especially when it comes to undecided voters and those types of voters that may not have cared about this issue at one time, but now are really focusing on it? I mean, those are the people that the president is going to try and convince.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue you've got here, because you're seeing the effects of the Biden administration's effect on the border is being felt all over the country. And it's not just in the issues of housing, schools, welfare, the things that go along with it, the crime issues that have been affected by that. But it's also just the general unsense of by many that we're not safe. And we're seeing issues like the Laken case, like others, but there are many others across the countries where illegal immigrants are involved in DUI deaths and other things that have been going on for years since I was been in Congress. And it just gets ignored mainly because the mainstream media doesn't want to report it. But the border is a serious issue. And I think that's something that people now are looking at because it is just wide open and they don't see Joe Biden doing anything, and simply blaming Republicans for it doesn't work, especially when all the Republicans and Donald Trump, who will be an incumbent running against him and from his 4 years he was there, stark record when you saw it down to almost nothing before Trump left. And then the first things in office, Biden wrote 94 executive orders rescinding all of the things that Donald Trump did. And now he claims that he can't do anything. Right. If he could rescind those orders, he can restore those orders.
And there's also, Doug, this legislation that was introduced by Georgia Congressman Mike Collins, and it's called the Laken Riley Act. And essentially what it would do is it would require ICE to detain illegal immigrants who are charged with theft and burglary, which is something that the man accused of murdering Laken Riley was arrested for prior to her murder. It seems like there is appetite for something like that in this country. And yet when you read something like this legislation, you go, that's never going to pass in Congress. And that's a problem.
Well, it may not ever pass, but also you've got to have the cooperation of local and state officials. And if you have local officials who are not going to cooperate with ICE, ICE cannot be everywhere at all moments at every time for someone who's arrested. So if you don't have the cooperation among local agencies to actually report that they have someone of suspicion or someone who's not legally in the country, then the bill is, like we've seen on many other times, it will fall flat on its face. That's why you have to attack the sanctuary city aspect of this, and especially those who are receiving federal funds and saying that they're not going to enforce or help with enforcement of this immigration law. That's where the real key comes. And you're right, though. It is amazing that that's something that is already, basically should be in practice and in law, but yet is not being done. And now Congress is having to address it, and you got people who are upset about it.
Yeah, it just seems like such a no-brainer. If you commit a crime and you're here illegally, then you should be in ICE detention, ICE custody. But that's not the case across the board, which is unfortunate. Doug, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.